Several years ago, when Andrew Garfield was still Spider-Man and Sony was expecting The Amazing Spider-Man 2 to break the box office like never before, the studio was hoping to use the film to build their own Spider-Verse to rival Marvel. Somehow. The idea was to hint at a bunch of villains in the film, then deliver a Sinister Six movie, a Venom spin-off, with a couple of other projects involving Black Cat and Spider-Man in the future or something. I don't know, no one cared. Anyway, despite a healthy financial success, Amazing Spider-Man 2 failed to live up to any of the previous Spider-Man movies, both at the box office and critically. Especially critically. Therefore, the original plan soon crumbled on its face and a new reboot was imminent. And because, as the saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them, Sony eventually collaborated with Marvel Studios to bring to the screen a Avengers-friendly Spider-Man, and the rest is history. Very, very recent history, but history nonetheless. And randomly in that history, a Venom movie from Sony was somehow greenlit. It included no Spider-Man, there was zero build-up to it, and it's still unclear whether Venom will join the MCU in some form or kickstart some other franchise. We don't know. No one knows. So, yeah. So there's a Venom movie, here it is, it exists. Let's talk about it. If I'm honest, I fully expected this film to tank early on. It just didn't seem like a relevant comic book film to exist at this point, and the trailers hardly sold me and many others on it. Then I remembered that the Venom character is actually very popular with a lot of people. Not me, but a lot of people. So I fully expected, by the time of the film's release, for it to do well, whether it was good or actually terrible. And terrible it was. Okay, let's back up a bit. Truth be told, I was still suspicious about this movie going in, even though I knew it would probably do well somehow. Like I said, the trailers looked a bit clunky, and the last time we saw Venom was in Spider-Man 3. A very enjoyable film, though not quite for the right reasons.
So good.
Yes, Spider-Man 3 was kinda unintentionally hilarious, and some scenes with Venom were pretty silly.
I like being bad. It makes me happy.
But, you know, on the plus side, to be fair, even though Sam Raimi himself just didn't want to have the character of Venom in the movie at all, that ended up being, like, the best part of the film, so yeah, make of that what you will. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, the new movie, Venom. Tom Hardy stars as successful investigative reporter Eddie Brock, who goes a little bit too far digging up information on a particular case before getting promptly and rightfully, let's be honest, fired. Not to mention getting dumped by his girlfriend and fiancée, Anne, played by Michelle Williams. Before that, we're introduced to the, let's go with plot. Yeah, that sounds like it probably applies here. Plot. If you remember, in Spider-Man 3, Venom literally just landed in a comet right next to Peter Parker, just randomly. He followed him home for some reason and kinda just waited there the whole movie until, you know, his scenes were up. Here, there was a whole Fantastic Four-style space expedition led by the Life Foundation, some kind of bioengineering corporation led by an Elon Musk-style entrepreneur, a CEO called Carlton Drake, played by Riz Ahmed. The expedition brings back some samples from a comet, a bunch of symbiotes. Basically alien lifeforms that look like different colored goop and act like John Carpenter's The Thing. One of the samples crashes somewhere else and it starts taking over random people. This part happens in the background throughout the movie and it's a bit... what's the word? Ropey? Ropey? Is that... It's a bit shit, basically. For some reason the symbiote decides to take over like old people, little girls, just human bodies that surely aren't the best carriers. I guess it's so he can just blend in, but he causes chaos wherever he goes, so that can't be it. Like I said, there's no real logic to it, and it's also we can just have like a last minute Venom on Venom big CGI fight. That's all. It just felt a little on the forced side, narratively. Narratively? Is that a word? In terms of narrative.
Perhaps it is you who is forced, like a bird in the wind.
What? Who said that? Mom? Alright. Anyway, so Eddie Brock kind of spies on his own girlfriend to dig up information on the Life Foundation so he can use it to, I guess, embarrass them slightly in an interview? Despite the fact it's like legal documents he's like peering into when he shouldn't, and it's pretty much illegal. And he's meant to know better as well, because he's actually meant to be good at his job at that point, so... And it seems like he really didn't have a plan to take them down beyond just confronting Carlton Drake live, even though he could just not comment on the matter and sue his ass. And that's pretty much what happens. He just goes like no comment and leaves. It's like, what did you expect him to say? Just like crumble and just be like, it's true, I sent things to space. I'm sorry. You know, like that was never gonna happen. I just did not understand his plan at all. This part is, again, a bit forced in my opinion. Eddie Brock's screw-up happens out of nowhere. It seems out of character, really, even though we barely know him at this point. And the film rushes through his rise and fall. It's like they left like 5 scenes on the cutting room floor all of a sudden. And this is a feeling I got throughout the movie. It's not just that one time, that there's just some stuff missing. And it's also a bit weird that even though like Eddie Brock has lost everything, literally everything at this point, he's still like fine. Like he can still kind of afford like a big place in town and everything. I don't know.
We are only human.
Okay, this is getting a bit weird. Alright, so I guess it's not such a big problem. It's kind of a nitpick, but I don't know, it just makes the film feel oddly paced. Like, I don't know, and the tone is really erratic as well.
We are erratic.
Whatever, head voice. What do you know? You're just a voice in my head. A head voice. How does Eddie Brock come in contact with the symbiote, you ask? I'll tell you, if I can. One scientist working for Carlton Drake, who is conducting some pretty shady and immoral experiments with the symbiotes, becomes disillusioned and calls upon Eddie Brock to expose the Life Foundation. Because I guess he was so good at it the first time. Oh, holy shit, that guy, he knows what he's doing. We gotta get him back. Let's go to this guy. This is our man right there. And it's just funny to me that scientist and Eddie Brock didn't have a plan beyond just having Eddie Brock just walk into the lab. And then just, fingers crossed, nothing bad's gonna happen. Something bad happens. Oh, and the scientist doesn't seem to have a plan beyond getting Brock inside the lab so he can take pictures. Despite the fact he was fired for doing something unprofessional, so who would believe him anyway? This already makes no sense, and I haven't even got to the shitty part. This is the good stuff. This is like the peak of the film. Okay, maybe not the peak, but you know, this is the stuff that makes sense, and it makes no sense.
You are nitpicking.
Nitpicking? Nitpicking? Those are major plot points. Actually, I think if I think about it for a couple of seconds, I don't think there's any like idea in this movie that's fully thought out. I don't think like anything in it just actually builds up organically and it makes sense. Is that what you want to hear?
You know what else builds organically?
Let me guess. A turd in the wind.
Bingo.
Alright. So we see Brock be nice to one homeless person early on in the film, and we later find out that the Life Foundation is performing its weird, unscientific symbiote experiments on homeless people, so, of course, Brock's friend is taken. So when he's finally in the lab, he stumbles upon her, what a surprise, and instead of acknowledging that she's under glass and probably being quarantined because of those crazy experiments, and he's not meant to be there, and he should really just be taking pictures, then coming back later to save her, what does he do? Well, he does exactly what any investigative reporter worth his soul would do in that exact situation. He acts like a professional and he starts banging on the glass like a fucking maniac until it explodes and the fucking like homeless lady comes up to him and he's like, what? And the fucking venom goes inside him. The alien goop actually goes inside him and now he's a fucking like walking nightmare. Again, great plan, scientist lady. A star. Oh, and the scientist lady later gets killed for thinking any of this was a good plan. You know what wasn't a great plan either? Writing this friggin' movie.
You are angry. Anger is fear.
I'm not afraid of this movie, okay? It's about as scary as a poodle on roller skates. With a bandana and fucking playing Girls Just Wanna Have Fun on the radio.
You are scared
Like a turd in the wind. I know. What is with that fucking turd in the wind thing? Why would a turd be in the wind? Like, you'd have to like shit outside. Okay, so Brock is now overwhelmed by the venom, I guess we can call it, and he escapes successfully by using all his crazy venom powers. Basically, sticky goo flies everywhere out of fucking Tom Hardy and gets rid of the bad guys, much to Eddie Brock's surprise even though he's making it happen, he doesn't know what the hell's going on. And this makes for some very, very ridiculous, yet admittedly entertaining action scenes.
Good. Let it out. Let it all out.
Eddie Brock starts acting weird, to say the least, and by acting weird, I mean Tom Hardy just becomes a cartoon. It's such a silly performance. It's a little bit reminiscent of Halle Berry in the Catwoman movie, to give you an idea. Yeah. Well, you remember, she's kind of useless at first, and she has neighbors who are a bit loud, but she can't say anything. Then she gets superpowers, and that scares the neighbors. But, you know, instead of rubbing his face into catnip, he fucks around with the food in his fridge. It's all very over the top. I mean, it's funny. I'll give it that, it's funny. But this is really like the only film where I felt Tom Hardy was actually trying too hard.
But wasn't it funny? Wasn't it fun?
I guess, yeah. I laughed, but...
Eat that turd.
I feel sick. Let's continue. So Venom starts talking to Eddie Brock, who thinks he's going crazy, of course, and his ex decides to help him by trying to get the symbiote out of him, because he shows up at a restaurant at one point looking like he's out of his mind on every conceivable drug. He literally shows up and he's like messing about people's plates and talking loudly, and then he like sits in a tank of lobsters and starts eating the live lobsters. It's just nuts. It's like the Blues Brothers showing up at that restaurant trying to get their friend fired. That's what it reminded me of.
How much for the little girl? The women. How much for the women?
What?
Hilariously, because they forgot that air vents exist, the symbiote escapes. And by the way, I'm not sure why Venom let any of this happen, considering it doesn't want to be found, but whatever. Somehow in like 2 scenes, Venom is a big fan of humanity all of a sudden. He loves humans. I don't know, he started off like killing everybody, but now he loves humans. He's a big fan. Wants to hang out with us. It feels so fucking rushed. Oh, by the way, remember that stray goop I mentioned early on? Yeah, it eventually turns up at the Life Foundation and takes over Carlton Drake, who becomes Riot. Basically a bigger version of Venom, and also he's the leader of the symbiotes. Venom, because he's a rebel, turns against him and, you know, he loves them humans. Does he love humans or does he just love Eddie Brock? I don't really know what's going on there, to be honest with you. Along the way, the escaped symbiote takes over Anne, and there's a bizarre scene where she becomes Venom and makes out with Eddie Brock as Venom. By the way, I hate to mention it, but both Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams, who are both, you know, really good actors, just they seem to give like a really like strangely awkward performance in this movie. Hardy is hammy as hell and his accent is all over the place.
Oh, I have a parasite. Yeah.
Williams looks like she's about to laugh at any second because what she's doing and saying is so ridiculous. Both are essentially a little bit miscast, frankly, but at least they're having a little bit of fun with it. So if I'm gonna be positive about it, you know, there's always that.
Positive, yes. Let it out.
What do you want from me? What do you mean let it out?
Let out your fear.
I'm not afraid of anything. Fear of what? How bad this movie is? I mean, it's not like the worst film I've ever seen, you know. If anything, cutting huge chunks out of it for no reason was actually to its benefit. They actually made it shorter and more palatable.
There you go. Honesty.
Honesty? Okay, so I wasn't bored watching it. I'll give you that. I'm not scared of admitting I was entertained watching it, but, you know, it doesn't mean it's not bad.
Doesn't it?
Oh, shut up. Let's wrap this up. What it comes down to, by the end, is a big fight between Riot and Venom, where Venom and Brock almost die, but they come out on top at the end. The CGI fight looks okay sometimes. Sometimes it looks like shit. Like sometimes you can see there's like a tiny Tom Hardy on one side, and on the other side there's a tiny little Riz Ahmed, and they're inside these like CGI goop robots, like surrounded by all this black Venom goop, and they're just like fighting, and it's really dumb. Like, it looks really silly, but the action itself is serviceable, I guess. There's a little bit at the end, like an epilogue, where you see Woody Harrelson, of all people, wearing a red Pennywise wig, and I guess it turns out he's Carnage, apparently. Okay. So overall, what can I say? There are a lot of problems with this movie. It feels like half of it was left on the cutting room floor, the performances are weird, the action is patchy, the writing is pretty bad, let's be honest.
Like a turd in the wind.
And the story doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you think about it for more than 1 second. It really feels like one of those early 2000s comic book movies, before Marvel got all adventurous, when films like Elektra and Blade Trinity existed. Somehow they put Venom in a time capsule and it came out this year, I guess. This one has flop written all over it. And yet, because it's short and it has a decent amount of action and decent special effects and the cast is alright, and Venom is a fun and popular character, and the film has kind of a sense of humor about itself, even if it's really dumb, it makes for an...
Go on. Say it. Say it.
It makes for an entertaining movie. There, you happy?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy.
It still sucks. You do know that, don't you? This is a bad film. It's like when I say I like the Super Mario Brothers movie. Alright, I know it's not a good film. I know people hate it. I get why they hate it. But I like it. It's a bit like that. You get that, right?
Yeah, so what?
So where does that leave us? Where does that leave this review? Should I tell people to go watch it? Should I tell them to skip it? What's the angle here?
I don't know. You're the fucking critic.
Oh, for God's sake. I'm glad you're very useful when you want to be useful, but completely useless when you don't. Thanks. So, okay, if you want to see a movie that's very silly and not very well thought out, but with enough ridiculous stuff in it to keep you entertained, and you're a fan of the Venom character, then sure, watch Venom. I can't even rate this one. Let's go with 2 turds in the wind out of 5, with a, third ghost turd that may or may not be there depending on what your enjoyment of this movie is. I don't even know.
Nice.
Thank you for watching. Now if you'll excuse me, I have my own symbiote to flush out.
Wait, what do you mean?
I just thought since you like turds so much, I'll make you a turd.
What? No, no.